All right, hey everyone. It looks like we are live here, so let's take a look at what we got going on today. Hope you guys are having a great day, by the way. And let's take a look what we have going on. So today we're going to take a look at Hut 8, the interview that they did with Bryce McNally. We'll also take a look at Cleanspark. They provided basically not really an update, but just a video link to a interview that they did. There are some interesting things in that. We'll talk about that just a little bit here, and then we'll get into like Bit Digital news. What else do we have here? Bit Digital, we have not BitDeer, but then we have also Sphere 3D, Iris Energy, and they'll get into the metrics for the miners as far as what is their hash rate value per their market cap right now. Okay, so we'll call it a pretty easy day here. As always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research and invest in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you guys enjoy this type of content, obviously hit the like button. It helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what we got going on here with Bitcoin, obviously, today, and then we'll get into the other stuff as well. So there we go. There's our charts. So we're doing good today. You can see the Bitcoin actually had a pretty good day today. It kind of came down a little bit here. It came down to a low of 38,501. So it came pretty close to our support line here, which is at right around 38,000. So it was pretty close. I think we might be coming down to it, to touching that. If that doesn't hold, then we might be going down to like 35,000, but we'll see if that, the 38,000 mark doesn't hold for us. Other than that, it looks like it was a pretty good day overall for Bitcoin. Not so much for the miners. The miners, for the most part, were pretty much in the red all day. And you can see this. CORZ was down huge today. Was down 29%. Everybody else was just down a couple digits here. Nothing too major other than, like I said, CORZ. And CORZ was mainly because of the emergence from Chapter 11 bankruptcy, I think. And that's what weighed it down. I think they stated in that release yesterday that they're doing a 10-for-1 split or reverse split. And then I think there's being valued at like $5 per share at that point when they emerge, I believe, at that. So that's why the stock took a hit, I believe, today. All right, so that's it for those. Let's take a look at the stories that we do have here, and then we'll get on with the rest of it here. So as I said, Sue from Hut 8 went on with went on with Bryce McNally today, and Bryce obviously uploaded the video here. There was not much anything as far as new that we haven't heard before yet. They're still looking into the short information that was provided by J Capital on them. That whole report, they're going through it, and then they will respond if they feel like they need to respond on anything else. The interesting part on it also, which I thought was a great question by Bryce, was what are you guys doing to basically grow your hash rate, right? They have some older miners and things like that. And Sue pointed out that they're buying facilities, power plants, things like that in Canada and in other places as well to grow their hash rate going forward. I think maybe Bryce could have pressed them a little bit more on the miners that they do have right now as far as some of the older ones. Why aren't they just swapping those out right now at least? In the meantime, because it's going to take a while to build out, obviously, the infrastructure at the new facilities. But I was kind of just, I would have liked to have heard something where they are going to be swapping out the older machines, but haven't heard anything from that. But they will do that going forward. And something else interesting that Sue provided was that they have the optionality. Doesn't mean that they're going to do it, but depending on how the miners are viewed with their HODL position now, since we have a spot Bitcoin ETF, is that going to be viewed less upon investors as a proxy to Bitcoin itself? So they may end up using their stack, which I think is, she stated, around 7,000 is unencumbered, and then the rest is encumbered with a loan through Coinbase. They could possibly use that down the road to basically buy machines and things like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And actually, I think that would be kind of a good sign going forward, especially if Bitcoin price goes up in value. I think that would be a good thing to use that to build out and buy machines and things like that. But we'll see how that all plays out. Okay. So we'll have to wait on obviously a little bit more for some more information from Hut 8 on the allegations that were obviously levied against them by J Capital. And maybe it's sometime down the road we'll get some information on that. Okay. Next here, Cleanspark really quick. So Cleanspark provided that they had basically an interview with analyst Josh Siegler of Cantor Fitzgerald. It was like a 1-hour interview in there. A lot of the stuff was already rehash of things that we knew. They did state that they are still planning on having 16 exahash sometime in February. If all goes well, obviously with the power electrical company hooking up their substations and things like that. So that was good there. The other thing that I thought was really interesting was Matt spoke about this, and this was regarding the the ASIC miners in general, right? All the different ones that are out there, and they did state that they actually purchased some of those AREN machines for testing, and based on their testing, they decided to go with the Bitmain S21s, and that was kind of interesting. I thought they didn't really state the reason why they chose to go with Bitmain. I think Bitmain is obviously the most well-known. I think also with AREN that the machines are not going to be in production or going out possibly until Q3, Q4 of this year. They wanted to get machines faster, which is obviously what Bitmain is providing. So that, and then I was also thinking about it, since the AREN machines are supposedly going to be made here in the United States, how are they going to compare in cost compared to like the S21s, which are going for about $14 per terahash to $16 per terahash? That's going to be obviously a very low bar, or very low price point to reach if you're building machines here in the United States. As we know, costs here in the United States are higher than they are in China. Okay, but that was kind of interesting there. So that's kind of all I wanted to point out on that one. Going to the next one here really quick. Here is BitDigital. So BitDigital announces commencement, commencement of revenue generation for an inaugural AI contract. Let's see here. So BitDigital is pleased to announce that its customers' contract for its BitDigital AI business has commenced revenue generation as of the date of this report. So 192 servers representing 1,536 GPUs began generating revenue on January 23rd. An additional 64 servers representing 512 GPUs are expected to start earning revenue by the end of January 2024. The total contract value for the 2,048 GPUs is worth more than $50 million of annualized revenue for BitDigital. So this is obviously great news here, but we don't have a lot of information as far as the customer, who the customer is. It's kind of interesting why somebody would pay $50 million a year when they could basically buy the machines or the servers and everything else for like probably 35 million or something like that in total. And they could save themselves 100 some odd million. So that's the only question I have there, is why would somebody do that? But it's obviously very lucrative for them meanwhile. Okay. So we'll just leave it at that for that one. If you guys have any questions on it, we'll talk about it here after in the Q&A. And then we got Sphere 3D. They announced an agreement with CORZ Scientific. Obviously, CORZ Scientific, as we know, is getting out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy here. They're emerging here in any day now, I guess. So they have reached a settlement agreement with CORZ Scientific, which was approved by United States bankruptcy Judge Christopher Lopez on January 16th. As part of CORZ emerges from bankruptcy pursuant to the settlement agreement, Sphere will receive $10 million in equity, of course. So they're going to get shares in it. Sphere 3D will receive access to a pool of additional equity if the value of equity decreases from the planned value. And so that's kind of good there. So at least they're kind of got basically insurance that they're at least going to get the 10 million there. And then Sphere 3D and Core have mutually released claims against each other, but have expressly preserved Sphere 3D's claims against Graphene Digital Mining Inc. So you can talk about that down below if you want. You guys can read it all. But I thought this was actually good for them. This is going to help them out, but they still need to grow, obviously, and they need to get their operations up and running as fast as they can to reach the 1.6 or 1.8 exahashes I think that they're supposed to get to. But we'll see on that one, okay? Next here is Iris Energy. So Iris Energy provides 10 exahash expansion update. So this is good here. Iris Energy provided today an update to its near-term expansion to 10 exahash as part of a pathway to 20 exahash. So 10 exahash expansion in the first half of 2024. The company is pleased to advise that it has commenced installation of miners for its expansion to 10 exahash with operating hash rate increased to 6 exahash. So they're at 6 exahash already right now. The remaining 4 exahash is expected to be commissioned in, obviously, the first half of 2024. And then they do have a pathway to 20 exahash in the second half of 2024 if they can obviously build out the infrastructure and everything else to install those machines. So as previously announced, the company has also secured a pathway to 20 exahash in 2024 following a purchase and fixed price option agreement for an additional 10 exahash of Bitmain T21 miners. Okay, so that'll be interesting if they can get there this year. Obviously, a lot of it depends on infrastructure. If infrastructure gets built in or built up at that point in time. Okay, so that's basically all the news that we have here right now on this. Let's take a look at my numbers here. I took the numbers as far as looking at what each company's valued for their hash rate, basically. We're looking at petahash here, not exahash. We're looking at petahash for market cap comparisons. So we'll look at market cap versus hash rate, and then we'll look at market cap by future hash rate. We'll also take a look at market cap minus HODL, and then hash rate, and then market cap minus HODL for future hash rate. So we'll go through these one by one, and then we'll give you guys basically the breakdown of it all. So here, the blue bars are the value that they're getting currently per petahash based on their market cap. So lower is better, obviously, meaning that they are getting less value by investors for their hash rate currently. Okay, but there could be reasons for this, right? There could be debt. There could be operational overhead that's making it less appealing to investors as well. There could be other issues as well, like bankruptcy with Core, obviously. And then just the size of the company not growing much also could be a factor in this as well. So those things are not taken into account here. These are just looking at straight hash rate for all of these, current and future, okay? And then if they have HODL or if they don't have HODL, that's be taken into account as well in these graphs. Okay, so the first graph here, which we're looking at here, it shows us that Stronghold is the most undervalued based on their current hash rate. They're only getting 9.8 thousand per petahash for the market cap value. Core, number 2 spot with 20.3 thousand. Sphere, number 3 spot with 20.8. Mawson with 24,000 and number 4 spot. Digihost with 32,000, number 5 spot. Then you can see the list here. It goes on and on, all the way down to where Riot, based on the current hash rate that they have in market cap, they are the most expensive, I guess you could say, based on the hash rate that they have and the market cap value to that right now. They're number 18 spot, followed by Marathon number 17 spot, and Cleanspark number 16 spot. And you got Cypher 15, BitDeer number 14, and then you got Bitfarms number 13. So those are like the top 5, almost, that you could say. Usually I would have like, yeah, pretty much. BitDeer, Cleanspark, Marathon, Riot, and yeah, I guess you could have Cypher in there as well. Iris Energy, I would think, would be in there as well because they're at 6 exahash now. They're getting only 48,000, which is basically half of what some of these guys are getting, or a third, right? Which is just kind of crazy in my opinion. So I think Iris might be one of the ones that are growing really well, but might be the most undervalued right now based on this part of it. Okay, when we look at the next one here, and I'll adjust the chart here to show that how it should look. There we go. So you got, again, Stronghold, Sphere 3D, Core, right, being in the top 3 here. Mawson and then Iris Energy is way down here as well, based on this for future hash rate. So future hash rate is based on what they have already reported as being purchased, not necessarily what they state they're going to get to, right? Like Iris is saying that they're going to get to 20 exahash, but they've only purchased enough miners right now to get to 10 exahash. So that's kind of what we're using there. So if you've seen my other videos, that's kind of what we're going with here. Okay, so you can see that Iris obviously is looking pretty good because they are less value based on their hash rate compared to other miners. So there might be some more upside to Iris Energy there, I think. Then going down the list here, we can see here that Cleanspark is number 10 spot here with the HODL that they, or future hash rate growth to 20 exahash that they're supposed to get to. You got TerraWolf, number 12 spot, Bitfarms number 13, Riot number 14, Hut 8 number 15 spot. They're getting obviously way overvalued based on their future hash rate growth, which is really none right now until they actually start buying miners. BitDeer number 16, BitDigital number 17, Marathon definitely getting to like 32 exahash is being the most valued here, or overvalued based on their hash rate currently to their market cap for future value. Okay, next, if we take a look at the market cap minus HODL, so we're taking out any HODL position that they currently have, and we'll do that as well here, going ascending. And we can see here that Stronghold again, Sphere 3D, Core, right? The top 3 that are less, what's the word I'm looking for? Less valued on what they have currently. You got Hut 8 in there as well because Hut 8 has a huge HODL position. So you take that out, you can see how that impacts them tremendously right now. So they're getting definitely valued a lot less for their current hash rate that they have out there. And you got Mawson. Mawson obviously has reasons for it. Their financial distress as well. So that could be the reason for it. You got DMG, Digihost, and then you look at some of the larger guys here like Riot, number 18 spot. They're getting still valued tremendously, 146,000 per petahash. Marathon, number 17 spot, 118. Cleanspark, number 16 spot, being valued at 116. And you got obviously Cypher, BitDeer, Bitfarms, right? Those are kind of like the top 5 miners, top 5, 6, 7 miners, whatever you want to call them. They're definitely getting valued much higher than some of these other guys are right now. Okay, and then finally, we'll take a look at the last one here, which is on future hash rate with minus HODL. And when we look at that, we can see here again, Stronghold, Sphere 3D, Core, top 3 here for being the least valued for it. And then you got some guys in the middle here like Iris, number 7 spot, Hive, number 8, Cleanspark, number 10 spot. And then you got Bitfarms here, number 15 spot, BitDigital 16, BitDeer 17, Marathon again, number 18 spot being more valued than all of these here. So but like I said, there's reasons for some of these guys in the top 3, top 4, top 5, why they might be valued less because of other constraints that obviously investors are looking into. Like I said, debt, operational cost, hash rate growth, things like that, that's all contributing to it potentially, right? So being lower is not always the best thing that on these charts at least. But yeah, that's how things have stacked up here. And then when we look at the actual total numbers added here, we'll see how that all looks. And we can see this chart over here. So we can see again, Stronghold, Sphere 3D, Core coming in the top 3 as far as being the most undervalued for their hash rate right now. Mawson, number 4 spot, DMG. Also, and then you got Digihost, Iris, Argo, Hive, Hut8, TeraWolf, and then you got Cleanspark being, what is that going to be, like 9th, 10th spot or something like that. Cypher, Bitfarms, BitDigital, BitDeer, Riot, Marathon. So right now, out of the top 3 as far as hash rate is concerned, between Marathon, Riot, and Cleanspark, Cleanspark is less valued for their hash rate than the other 2, like Riot and Marathon right now. Okay, so that's kind of the way you can kind of take a look at things. And that is it. So I think we'll get into Q&A now. And if you guys have questions, we'll obviously go through those. But also, these spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. There's still plenty spots open at the $8 a month range, and you get access to all these spreadsheets. You get access to the Discord channel as well. We have a bunch of great conversations there as well. That's always fun there. So I'll just leave that for you guys there. And the link is in the description down below in the video on that one. Okay, so let's get into the Q&A here. We'll see what we have as far as questions, and then we'll call it a day. So Q&A. All right. So if you guys have any questions, mark them up with questions here, and I'll try and get through as many as we can within the next like 5-7 minutes or something like that. So let's see what do we got here. Let's see. We got CORZ. We're talking about CORZ. Riot up after hours. Yes, Riot's up after hours. Let's see here. Miners did not get as much attention last halving cycle. Ready to go. Actually, I think they got quite a bit of attention last halving cycle. Especially Marathon, Riot, Bitfarms. Who else do we have in there? Somebody else in there also had a bunch of good gains after the halving cycle last time. Let's see. Do you guys have any questions or anything like that? So I'm trying to see if there's anything that you guys want to talk about. Let me see here. Okay, so W Song asks, any response from Hut8 about short report? Yeah, I talked about it in the beginning of the video. Basically, they said that they will disclose more information, but they're still doing a little bit more, I guess you could say, due diligence, investigating on some of those things. And anything that warrants a response, they will do that. But for the most part, Sue said that they are just working towards growing their hash rate, building out everything else like that on those things. So I don't expect to see much of it. The only thing I will say on this is I think that going forward, potentially in the next 6, 8, 10, 12 months, if we see people leaving the company, there might be a reason why. That reason might be because of the report, but we'll see. Let's see here. We got Turbo John, Cleanspark and Mara charts look good. Yeah, you know, they're definitely priced up there quite a bit, more than so than some of the other ones. But there's reason for it. Obviously, they're growing, right? So investors are obviously forward looking a little bit more on those companies than they are some of the ones that are like in the 1, 2, 3, 4 spot potentially. Let's see here. Is it okay? LB asks, is it a good time to enter IREN? I'll be honest, I've been dollar cost averaging into them over the last couple of weeks here, trying to get as low prices as I can. I think they are quite substantially undervalued, but as always, it's not financial advice. You have to do your own research on all this stuff. But just looking at what I have for them, I do think that they are undervalued. And, you know, my strategy has always been to dollar cost average in. So it all depends on what your strategy is. Okay. Next is a question here. Do you think Hut8 will rebound at some point? I think they will rebound at some point. But what we want to see is growth from them really. One, beyond the 7.2 exahash or 7.3 that they are at right now. But also need to see them grow beyond that and also remove some of the older miners that they have currently, which are really inefficient. So especially as we get close to the halving. So if they provide any information saying that they're going to be getting miners in the next month or two to replace some of the older ones, I think that would be a good sign. But we'll see. Okay, yeah, we talked a little bit about Core at the beginning of the video. Also, I think the big drop was basically in the report that they came out yesterday. Not the report, I think it's just the statement that they put out for the emergence of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They're doing a 10-to-1 reverse split. And at that point, I believe when they entered the NASDAQ, they're supposed to be priced at like $5 per share or something like that, which was obviously a decrease from where the stock was right now. And I think that's kind of the impact that we're having right now on it. Let's see. What else do we have here? What is your conservative BTC price peak for 2025? I'm guessing somewhere around 180,000 on that one. And that's based on the historical events that we've seen with Bitcoin, how much has gone up percentage-wise from the low to the high, things like that. So I was taking that into account, and I'm guessing somewhere around 180,000. We could be 150,000, or we could be a little bit higher than that. We could be like 210,000 or something like that. No one really knows, especially right now with the spot Bitcoin ETFs that we do have out there. Those could have an impact. Obviously, right now we're having some sell pressure from Grayscale Bitcoin Trust on it. But after that all, I think, winds down, we may reach those numbers there. But that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I had Bitcoin getting to 38,000 at the end of 2023. Came pretty close to that. I think Bitcoin was at the end like 42, 43,000. So pretty close to what I thought. And we'll see if we can get pretty close to that also this cycle as well. Let's see here. Why are the miners selling so much Bitcoin right now? I think there's just one, they're trying to get ready for the halving event. So I know for a fact that Cleanspark is selling some Bitcoin as well. They're also trying to hodl it as well. Others are also doing the same thing to get miners in, pay for those miners as well. They have to pay usually in tranches on those machines when they do get delivered, when they get ordered, when they get shipped, and then when they arrive. There's usually a certain payment structure that they have to go by, and I think that's the reason for it on that one. Let's see here. So Hank asks, 10 exahash for H1 2024, was that IREN guidance all along, or is that delayed? No, that was their guidance all along, that they were trying to get to 10 exahash in the first half of 2024. The other 10 exahash getting to 20 exahash has always been questionable. They said that they can buy more if they wanted to on that one. But I think that all depends on the infrastructure if they build that out. When are you going to stop DCing to the miners? So I started buying Cleanspark at around $9. This was in 2022, early 2022, and then I got into Bitfarms right around then as well, around $4 something. So I think as long as they stay below those numbers, I'll continue to dollar cost average in, and then I may dollar cost average in a little bit above that, but that's about it. I think after that, there's just diminishing returns as far as what I can get on, one of the miners going up 5x or something like that. So that's kind of where I'll stop possibly. Okay, let's see what else do we have here. All right. Do you think BTC will touch 35,000 before going back up? I think it's in the cards. I think right now we're right at 38,000, right? So it wouldn't take much for just a one-day wick, go down to 35,000 and bounce off of it. But we'll see. I think it's still in the cards. It might be possible. Let's see what else do we have here. Does the miners use the proceeds from selling BTC now to buy up their share price later? So I'm not sure if you're referencing them buying their own shares, but I think if they're selling now, they're usually selling that for a reason. It's usually to, one, fund operations and to pay like miners and growth, things like that for new miners that they're purchasing. So I think that's basically what it's used for right now. Yeah, great question. Do I ever plan on reopening mining operations? No. Nope. That was a lesson learned for 5 years on what not to do in a mining operation. So I learned a heck of a lot from that process. And I took everything that I've learned in that to the way that these miners operate here. So plus it's based on what I've done analysis on that and what I could get from investing in the miners, like the publicly traded miners. There's more upside to that than there is actually mining yourself. So no, we'll never get back into that. Let's see here. Will Mara be ever over $83 per USD? Could be, but depends on where Bitcoin price goes, right? And then also depends on how much they dilute, things like that. So that all has to be taken into account, but I think it might be possible. Let's see here. Why are miners dumping so badly? Okay. If you look back at the last halving cycle or pre-halving cycle of 2020, we saw the miners going down in price a year prior. I think we're just starting to see the same thing now. It's more delayed and a lot closer to the halving. We saw that a little bit also in at the end of July into August, September, October, right, where the miners were going down. And then we had the SPY Bitcoin ETF. I think that threw in a wrench as well into it with Bitcoin pumping, and then the miners obviously pumped because of it. But I think we're kind of going back to the median or the average as far as where the miners should be or should be going down into the halving event, usually. Okay. What else do we have here? Will any survives the halving? Oh, okay. Will any survive the halving? Basically, that's going to be difficult for them. They really need to grow the hash rate. They still have some pretty big costs and they have some debt. They need to get that under control. They did get the 10 million from Core, possibly in equity. If they sell that or if they wait a little bit, they might get a little bit more. But at least they're going to get the 10 million for that. So that should help them out. I think that's going to give them a little bit more runway after the halving event. Let's see here. Do you day trade miners or do you just hodl? I hodl. I don't day trade. I suck at day trading. Plus I work during the excuse me, I work during the day. So I don't have the time to day trade. I just buy and hodl. I know what I want to get into and what I want to accumulate, and I know when possibly to exit out. So that's my strategy. Let's see here. Okay, this might be, okay. Did you see BitDigital got a contract for GPU getting annual revenue of 50 million? They also have a target of 6 exahash. Your thoughts? Yes. I talked about it a little bit early in the video, but basically it was a couple of things that I would like to know more about is who's their customer and why is their customer paying $50 million a year when they can buy the machines, the servers for 32, 35, whatever it is going to be for BitDigital to buy them and then just host them someplace. They could be saving, a heck of a lot of money, 100 million. So I've had this kind of notion in my head. Is it like a nation state doing this, getting that? I don't know. But would like to know more about the customer, obviously. But that'd be kind of interesting to see what that is actually. And the 6 exahash is obviously good for them. They're currently at, around 3, something like that, I think. Somewhere around there. 2, 3, something like that. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. Let's see. Do I have an exit strategy plan yet? Yes. We're going to be looking at a lot of charts as far as Bitcoin is concerned. When are we getting close to the peak? Things like that. And we'll talk about it obviously down the road when we're getting close to it. And I'll obviously let you guys know kind of the plan at that point. Okay. What are your thoughts on Annie? Do you think they are a good buy or are you staying away from Annie? So if you guys have watched my channel for a while, you guys know that I look for miners that have great performance as far as monthly uptime, good cash balance, good growth going forward. I don't see that with Annie, so I'm out of it. Well, I never bought it, so I never got into it. Let's see here. Hank asks, are you still buying Bitcoin or just miner proxies if you want to share? Sure. I have enough Bitcoin right now. I'm buying Bitcoin proxies, excuse me, like the miners, because I think there's more upside to those than there is for Bitcoin right now. Okay, W Song asks, not seeking financial advice. If you had an extra 10K, which miners would you be willing to put your extra money down into? The top 5 miners that I talk about. So you got Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Marathon, Riot, and you could also include in there Cypher or Iris Energy as well. I think Iris Energy is kind of the one that's kind of most undervalued right now, at least. Let's see here. How long after the halving do you think stocks and BTC will start going up? 6 months? It's usually around 2 to 3 to 4 months, something like that. They usually start going back up. But this time could be different. It all depends on the SPY Bitcoin ETFs, I think. But we'll see. Cleanspark targets. I have them around possibly if things go well for with Bitcoin. If it gets close to 150, 200,000, we could be closer to between like $50, $70 or more at that point. But it also depends on how much they dilute, right? If they dilute more because they want to get to 32 exahash, that's going to have an impact on the overall stock price of where it could get. But we'll have to see. We'll keep an eye on it. Okay, why is IREN or Iris Energy considered so heavily undervalued in your videos, underlying financials? Financials are good. Their growth is good. So I think the only reason they're really being undervalued so much is maybe because of the special purpose vehicles that they had in, 2022 when they got out of those, I believe. Yeah, 2022. They had a couple facilities where they had machines that were special purpose vehicles that were basically collateral on loans that they had. and they weren't generating cash flow positive, and at that point they had to give those back, and I think they're still in battle with NYDIG. I think it was the loan provider on that, so I think maybe that. And the other thing is HODL. They don't HODL anything. They view themselves as like a gold miner, which I disagree with. I think gold, as you know, hasn't done anything over the last 10, 12 years. Bitcoin, on the other hand, has gone up in the cycle. So there's, I think, an opportune time to HODL and an opportune time to sell. And they're not looking at it that way, so I think maybe that's part of it as well. But operationally side, they're doing really great there, so that's why I think they should be valued a heck of a lot more. Let's see. Okay, this is a great question. So, if you don't day trade, how do you stomach being down so much during this past month, knowing if you sold and bought back, you could have doubled your stack? That's kind of, well, I'm easygoing for one thing, but the other thing is you have to take into account also like taxes, right? If you do a buy and a sell in a short period of time, you're gonna pay a heck of a lot more in taxes during that time frame. And then that's also stressful. Did you time it right? Did you buy it at the right time, and did you get out at the right time? It's just too stressful for me. I started getting into the miners in 2022, beginning of 2022, my cost average on the miners is, for Bitfarms, is like $1.30. For Cleanspark, it's $3 something. So I'm still in the green, and I keep buying more into it. And that's the great thing about doing dollar cost averaging and just holding. There's a great quote that says it's not timing the market, but timing the market, right? So that's kind of the way I do the investing on my things. It's a longer time frame, which, the money that I put into it is all extra money that I can put into it. It's not a big deal. I don't need that money anyway. So that's kind of the way I look at it. Let's see, what else do we have here? Will Riot stock dilute again? I'm pretty sure that they will, because they're getting to, they want to grow to like 50 exahash or something like that, and then 30 something exahash, then up to possibly 100 exahash. So I think they will, unless they do it pretty well with the selling the coin at a good time when Bitcoin's up higher. But overall, I think they will dilute. I think all the miners are going to dilute going forward. What else do we have here? Okay, Hank asks, do you own Cypher? Are you considering it? No. Cypher, the reason I don't have it right now is Bitfury has a large portion of shares basically in Cypher. So if they decide to sell, like they sold 10 million shares, when was it, in September, October of last year, that had a huge impact obviously on the price. So that's the only reason I'm out of that one. No, I'm not interested in it, at least not yet. If Bitfury was completely out of the shares, maybe at that point. And plus, I would need to see really huge growth from them. What else do we have here? Okay, is it a bad sign when a new CEO is a lawyer? Greenwich's new CEO is Jordan Culver, a lawyer? No, I have no idea. Ideally, you would want somebody that's in there that has experience with technology, not a lawyer so much. Maybe he has experience with technology, but you want somebody that's tech savvy, somebody that can see what's going on and then see how to perform. So not sure on that one. Plus, I don't follow Greenwich anymore because they stopped providing their monthly production updates. Let's see here. What do I think the Bitfarms price target could be on low and high price? Oh, geez. We'll do that after the Q4 results that we get for all these miners. We'll start doing some price targets at that point. Right now, it's just a little hard to tell. I think once we see how many shares are out, but there are some videos out there if you want to look at price targets out there that I did just a couple of weeks ago. I'll leave it at that on that one. Let's see here. Another question. Did Cleanspark say how they were going to fund the latest S21 order? Yes. Basically, you're going to get a little bit from the cash that they have and also by dilution, unfortunately. Everybody does the same thing. So not a big thing there. As long as they're growing their hash rate, growing that, I'm fine with it. But if they dilute for just HODL or something like that, a little bit less fine with that. Let's see here. Will miners drop again around the halving like it did on ETF approval? I think they're going to continue to possibly trade sideways or go down a little bit more into the halving, but we'll see. I mean, last halving cycle, that's the way it worked out. We'll see if it works out this way again. Thoughts on Solana. So I got burned a couple times by altcoins. So the only altcoins I have now is what I reported in the beginning of the video. Once those get back to their values of where I had them, I'm selling out of them, and I'm only going to be keeping Bitcoin and potentially Ethereum, but we'll see. Do you think Riot overtakes Mara on price? We've seen that before, depending on how they grow, but we saw it last year where Riot was higher priced than Marathon was at certain points, based on market cap at least. So it's definitely possible. All right, I think that is it for the questions. Guys, thank you so much for the questions. Obviously, it's fun to talk about those things. Hope you guys got some knowledge out of it as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it also. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And we'll do this again tomorrow. I think you guys are enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. And it definitely helps me because I can do this a lot quicker than when I was doing the videos, recording the videos, transcoding the videos, or cutting the videos, transcoding the videos, uploading the videos, and doing all this other stuff. So I find this to be a lot better time spent than doing all that. I can chit chat with you guys. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks again. Until then.